Hey guys, I'm MTR, also known as Matt the Rat,
Tiffany.
and we're from Comics After Dark, and we are here live at San Diego Comic-Con 2016. Woo! We're here with Garry Brown. How are you doing today, good sir?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. You look extremely tired, just as tired as me.
I do?
Oh, maybe. Do I look worse?
Well, you've been walking about longer than me. I've just got here. So.
It's true. It's true. If you guys don't recall, we had the greatest whack attack ever with Garry back at, I believe it was Long Beach Comic Expo, was it not?
Yeah.
And that's when you ripped your pants, and
Yeah.
you
That was my jeans, right?
it was your jeans, and little did you know everything was nice and exposed right there.
Well, I was wearing underwear.
Well, so maybe you were, according to the story. But you said that you were working on something with Brian Wood, and we couldn't talk about it then, but we could finally talk about it now. It is called Black Road. If you guys haven't picked it up, go ahead and pick it up. It is from Image Comics. Go ahead and tell us how this all came about, because you have worked with Brian Wood before, correct?
Yeah, I worked with them on the Massive and Ninth Wave at Dark Horse. And I was on the Massive for about 2 years. And I wanted to work on Northlanders when that was out, but it got cancelled before I became moderately well known as a comic artist. So I didn't get to do that. But he said he had an idea for another Viking book. And so I was like, all right, I'll do it.
And it ended up being through Image. Now, what's the difference between being with someone like Dark Horse, where I would imagine to be a little bit more controlled? Actually, no. DMZ was through Vertigo.
Yeah.
So is that as independent as Image, or is it still kind of controlled and very concentrated on the editors, making sure a story goes a certain way?
Well, Image is like we're building the plane as we're flying it. It's really like...
Don't let it hit the ground,
yeah,
for God's sake.
Oh, that wing's falling off. All right, so then you go over there, fix that, and then that thing. So it's really intense because you're doing everything. You're managing everything, the uploads, the prints, everybody's deadlines, promotion, everything. It's exhausting. It makes me have a lot of respect for editors because that's all the crap they have to do. So.
It's literally becomes like your baby and your pride and joy when you're working with Image.
It's yours to fail on, yeah.
Yeah. So, with that, how was it with working with Brian over at Vertigo?
We worked at Dark Horse on the Massive.
No, Massive was Dark Horse?
Yeah.
I thought it was Vertigo.
No, DMZ.
DMZ was Vertigo. Look at that. At least I'm getting confused with the right titles.
See, you're more tired than me.
I'm not gonna lie, I got 2 hours of sleep the night before this. And then last night I was like, I'm gonna sleep. And I never hit like that realm of like true sleep. It was just constant like, my eyes are closed, but I'm not sleeping. Yeah, how was it working with Dark Horse? And I imagine Dark Horse is technically independent, but they still have editors and technically be in control, right?
I'd say they're similar to DC or Marvel, with the editors and the structure.
Now, was there any ever opportunities while working at Dark Horse, because they do like to try to do movies or other titles to make sure that, Dark Horse does continue on. Was there any other ideas that they wanted to pitch towards you, and you might have been like, you know what, I don't really feel like I could contribute to this?
I think we talked about Black Road at Dark Horse, but we wanted to try out Image, because I've never done an Image book. And Brian was doing Starve Image as well, so I wanted to try Image because I'd never done it before. So we could have more control over it.
Yeah, and on top of it, I mean, so you guys get a majority of the money as well through Image.
Yeah, it's split 3 ways between Brian, myself, and Dave McKeag, the colorist. Yeah. So we get everything that sells, we cut it in 3.
Yeah. So with that being said, what is the story so far within Black Road?
Well, it's like a Viking kind of noir, kind of like a murder mystery. The Christians are occupying the Northlands, kind of erecting churches everywhere, and like burning what they call witches, stuff like that. Just people that don't fit into their criteria as no, there's just one god. And then there's the main character, Magnus the Black, who is supposed to take this guy up the Black Road north because there's some weird shit happening up there, and then he gets murdered on the way, and so now he's trying to find out what's going on, like why it's there,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
So we're obviously, since we're at issue 4, issue 5 is usually where we conclude a story arc within at least Image.
Yeah.
Will you guys be concluding it then, or are you going to try to make it to 10 and complete a story arc?
Well, like the first arc is a whole 10 issues, but it's like 2 fives.
Okay.
So issue
Part 1
5
and part 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So issue 5 is like, it ends a certain arc, like it reveals something, and it changes the status quo for the next ongoing series of it. Yeah.
So with that being said, actually, how much do you guys actually have set up? Are you guys planning for 15, 20, 25 issues, 30, or is it just kind of like you said, we're building the wings and hoping everything goes correctly?
Well, we have a good plan for it. It's going to this first like one story goes to 10, but then Brian has ideas for all these other stories and stuff, so they'll go as long as we can make it. Pretty much.
That's great. If you could tell Brian anything that you may not tell him to his face,
I tell him everything to his face.
you tell him straight up, you're like, I don't like this. Get it out of here, Brian. I don't want it. Because I know with being on a comic book with someone, it's like being in a relationship. Like you have to be able to know that your chemistry is great and that you can work for X or Y amount of time, because you never know. You hit 100 issues and you're like, where is time gone? And why do I despise this person? So obviously you've been wanting to work with Brian Wood, and you guys have been able to continue on. What's the chemistry like between you two?
It's fine. We're friendly. It's like there isn't really any bullshit or fake pleasantries or anything. It's kind of like, all right, just do it.
I imagine you two in like a pub somewhere, just like getting drunk and be like, you know, it'd be great if we just went down this idea. Do you have any interactions or stories like that with him?
Well, he lives in New York and I live in LA.
Well, you guys were together for Long Beach.
That's true. But we do talk quite a lot through text or email or sometimes Skype and that. And it's like you're saying, it's a partnership. So he's really open to ideas and different things. Like even when I'm drawing things, I accidentally drew. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I drew something in the book because I misread the script, and he said, "Oh, I like that better." So,
Okay.
So stuff like that. It's like it's really organic process going forward over it.
So, with that being said, what can we expect in this 5th issue?
There's a
I like the thought. You're like, what can I not spoil?
yeah, working on us. Well, there's a reveal for sure.
What leads up prior to that?
Well, I can't really tell you that. It's like the 5th issue's. The beginning of the 5th issue, you see stuff and you're like, what the fuck? And then as it goes on, you're like,
Is
oh
it a
my
time
God.
lapse?
Well, Brian does this thing where he'll start something and then he'll have like a flashback and then he'll have the other part of it.
Okay, yeah.
Then to end off and then twist it around and stuff. So it's kind of like that. I mean, it's not like Kaiser Soze or anything. You know, it's not like
Everyone dies at the end of the comic.
everybody dies, and
This was
Magnus
our
is the only one left,
contingency
and it turns
plan.
out he was planning it the whole time anyway. So, but yeah, there's none of that. It's all because the book's all character based, so it's like a kind of character reveal
Yeah.
thing.
The Image at this point kind of feels like the AMC of comic books. They
Yeah.
know drama, and
Yeah.
they know that it's all about character building, and you need to learn and love and invest in those characters. Without that, it's really hard to succeed because you guys don't have, the Batmans, the Green Lanterns, the Flash, or anything like that. And it actually seems more now with Image, it is driving more towards real life dramas rather than superheroes.
Yeah, it seems like it's going more close to traditional Japanese manga, where it's like everyday stuff,
Yeah.
kind of a slice of life things. But that's why I like the book so much, the way Brian writes it. It's all character based. It's just a character story, really.
Now, if you had the chance, would you actually go on to a superhero comic? And if so, what would you like to draw?
Well, I draw 2 books a month, so I'm working on Black Road and I'm doing the revisionist to Aftershock.
Okay.
It's like a time travel thing.
Yeah, but what would, if you had if you had an idea of like a superhero,
Well,
what would you want to do? Like a speedster? Would you want to do super strength? Because I feel like you draw
like
very
create your own.
yeah.
Uh, I think maybe invulnerability, but I guess that's kind of like a noir thing again. Like the noir guy always gets his ass kicked but keeps going.
I was gonna say kind of like Samuel. I thought I was thinking like Samuel L. Jackson in Unbreakable, where he's just frail. You're like he just constantly is in pain and hurts.
Mr. Glass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, of course, last but not least, where can we find you on the internet?
I'm on Twitter at Garry Blue.
Gary Blue?
No, Garry Boom.
Gary Boom. I was like, Blue.
Yeah.
Switching it up there. You're like, I'm not brown anymore.
Yeah.
And then any Instagram, Facebook, anything like that?
I'm on Instagram as Garry Brown Art, and I'm on Facebook as Garry Brown.
All right, thank you so much. I really appreciate
Yeah, no
it.
worries, man.